walk into any grocery store in the West, and you will find the same lineup: apples, bananas, oranges, maybe a mango if someone is feeling adventurous. But there are fruits growing right now in jungles, river valleys, and volcanic hillsides across Southeast Asia, South America, and West Africa that taste like nothing on those shelves. Some of them smell like death. Some of them can rewire your taste buds entirely. And one of them started a mutiny. These are 9 of the most extraordinary fruits on Earth, and what makes each of them worth knowing about. Durian. In parts of Southeast Asia, there is a fruit so deeply loved and so violently hated that it has been banned from hotels, airports, and public buses across Singapore, Thailand, and Malaysia. The durian is covered in sharp spikes, roughly the size of a football, and produces a smell that naturalist Alfred Russel Wallace described in 1856 as something between cream cheese, onion sauce, and almonds. Anthony Bourdain put it more bluntly, saying your breath would smell as if you had been kissing your dead grandmother. A 2012 study at the German Research Center for Food Chemistry identified 44 separate odor-active compounds inside the fruit, 24 of which had never been found in durian before. Some are fruity, some are sulfurous. The combination is what makes it unforgettable. But the people who love durian say the custard-like flesh is one of the richest, most complex flavors in the entire fruit world. The flowers open only at night and are pollinated entirely by bats. In Southeast Asia, they call it the king of fruits, and every king needs a queen. Mangosteen has held that title for centuries across Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. The fruit is about the size of a tangerine with a thick, dark purple rind that you crack open to reveal soft white segments inside. The flavor sits somewhere between a peach, a lychee, and a grapefruit, sweet and tart at the same time. There is a famous story that Queen Victoria once offered a knighthood to anyone who could bring her a fresh mangosteen. It is a great story, but there is no historical evidence it ever happened. The UK Royal Archives confirmed they could find no reference linking Queen Victoria to mangosteens. What is true is that mangosteen trees can take up to a decade to bear fruit, and the fruit itself does not ripen after picking. It spoils fast, which is why it was nearly impossible to find in the United States until import rules were relaxed around 2007. In Southeast Asia, people eat mangosteen alongside durian as a cooling counterpart to the durian's intense heat. The mangosteen is small and delicate, but its distant relative is the exact opposite. Jackfruit is the largest tree-borne fruit on Earth, the heaviest one ever recorded, verified by Guinness World Records in Pune, India in 2016, weighed over 42 kilograms, roughly 94 pounds. A single jackfruit tree can produce 100 to 200 fruits per year. The fruit itself is actually a cluster of hundreds of individual flowers fused together, and it grows directly from the trunk and thick branches of the tree, rather than hanging from smaller stems. Ripe jackfruit tastes like a blend of banana, pineapple, and mango. Some people compare it to juicy fruit chewing gum, but when the fruit is unripe and green, the flesh has a neutral, stringy texture that pulls apart like slow-cooked pork, which is why it has become one of the most popular plant-based meat substitutes in the world. If you want to cut one open, oil your hands and your knife first. The latex inside is incredibly sticky. Jackfruit grows from its trunk, and so does one of the strangest-looking fruit trees in the world. Jabuticaba, sometimes called the Brazilian grape tree, produces clusters of dark purple berries that sprout directly from the bark of the trunk and branches. The first time people see a photo of a Jabuticaba tree in full fruit, they usually think the tree is diseased. It is not. This trait is called cauliflory, and the tree shares it with cacao and jackfruit. The berries have translucent white pulp with a flavor somewhere between black currant and muscadine grape. The tree is in the same family as guava and eucalyptus, but it behaves like nothing else in that family. Jabuticaba has one major problem. The fruit begins to ferment within 3 to 4 days of being picked, which means it almost never leaves Brazil. It is eaten straight from the tree or turned into jams, homemade wine, and liqueurs. In Brazilian Portuguese, calling something a jabuticaba is slang for something so absurd it could only exist in Brazil. Jabuticaba rarely travels, but the next fruit on this list traveled so far it triggered one of the most famous mutinies in naval history. Breadfruit is a starchy, football-sized fruit native to the islands of the South Pacific. Europeans first encountered it in Tahiti in 1769, and the British government saw it as a cheap way to feed enslaved workers on Caribbean sugar plantations. In 1787, Captain William Bligh sailed HMS Bounty to Tahiti, with orders to collect over 1,000 breadfruit seedlings. The great cabin of the ship was converted into a floating greenhouse. But on April 28, 1789, Fletcher Christian led a mutiny. The crew seized the ship and threw every breadfruit plant overboard. Bligh was set adrift in a small open boat and somehow navigated over 3,600 nautical miles to safety in Timor. He returned on a second voyage and finally delivered the seedlings to Jamaica, but the enslaved workers initially refused to eat it. A single breadfruit tree can produce up to 450 pounds of fruit per season. Captain Bligh's name lives on in another fruit entirely, and this one can kill you. Ackee is the national fruit of Jamaica. Its scientific name is Blygia sapida, named directly after the same captain who lost his ship over breadfruit. The fruit itself is bright red, and when it ripens, the pod splits open naturally on the tree to reveal 3 large black seeds cushioned in soft, creamy yellow flesh. That yellow flesh, when cooked, looks and tastes remarkably like scrambled eggs, and it is the centerpiece of Jamaica's national dish, ackee and saltfish. But the timing of the harvest is everything. When the fruit is unripe or forced open before it splits on its own, it contains a toxin called hypoglycin A at concentrations roughly 1,000 times higher than in the ripe fruit. Eating unripe ackee can cause severe vomiting, seizures, coma, and death, a condition known as Jamaican vomiting sickness. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration bans fresh ackee imports entirely and only allows canned versions that meet strict safety limits. If you are finding this useful, hit subscribe. I cover food, history, and science like this every week. Now, ackee belongs to the soapberry family, and so does one of the most cherished fruits in all of East Asia. Lychee has translucent white flesh hidden under a bumpy red shell, with a floral flavor often compared to a blend of rose water and grape. It is native to southern China, where it has been cultivated for over 2,000 years. The fruit's most famous story comes from the Tang dynasty. Emperor Xuanzong's consort Yang Guifei loved fresh lychees so deeply that the emperor established a horse relay courier system to rush them over 1,000 miles from the southern growing regions to the imperial capital at Chang'an. Riders raced day and night to deliver the fruit before it spoiled. The story, recorded in Tang dynasty poetry and historical texts, became a lasting symbol of imperial excess. Yang Guifei was later killed during the An Lushan Rebellion. A 2022 study published in Nature Genetics found that lychee was actually domesticated independently twice, once in Yunnan and once in Hainan, from completely separate wild populations. Lychee is prized for its delicate sweetness, and the next fruit has no juice at all. Buddha's hand is a variety of citron that splits into long, finger-like segments resembling a hand in prayer. Unlike any other citrus, it contains almost no pulp and no juice inside. It is nearly all fragrant rind and pith, but that rind is intensely aromatic, somewhere between lemon and lavender, and unlike most citrus peel, it is naturally sweet rather than bitter. Buddhist monks are believed to have carried it from northeastern India to China sometime after the 4th century. In China and Japan, Buddha's hand is a traditional New Year gift and temple offering symbolizing happiness, longevity, and good fortune. The closed hand form, with all its fingers pressed together, is the most prized because it resembles hands in prayer. It reached ancient Rome by 301 AD, where Emperor Diocletian set its price at 12 to 16 times the cost of melons. Buddha's hand is entirely about fragrance and form, but the last fruit on this list does something no other food on earth can do. Miracle fruit is a small red berry from the forests of West Africa that contains a protein called miraculin. European explorers first documented the berry in 1725, noticing that local communities chewed it before meals. When you eat one and let it dissolve across your tongue, something remarkable happens. Sour foods suddenly taste sweet. Lemons taste like candy. Vinegar tastes like apple juice. Hot sauce tastes like glazed barbecue. The miraculin protein binds to the sweet taste receptors on your tongue and, in the presence of acid, activates them completely. The effect lasts anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours. West African communities have used miracle fruit for centuries to sweeten sour palm wine and acidic foods. In the 1970s, an American company tried to bring miraculin to market as a calorie-free sweetener, but the FDA classified it as a food additive requiring further testing, and the venture collapsed before it ever reached store shelves. If you want to keep learning about the everyday foods you thought you already knew, click the video on screen now.